Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network. 'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven. A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UPNradio.com.
Well, hello, and welcome, new friends and old. I'm your host, Bonnie Sher, and I'm here to guide you through the worlds of entertainment, the great boomer life, and it's pretty great, and of course, the world of type 1 diabetes. So thank you for tuning in, and please feel free to share your thoughts. You can call into us at 323-843-2826, and feel free to share your thoughts. Or you can tweet the hashtag, that's #BSher, SHER radio. But before we get this show on the road, I'd like to acknowledge jazz great and Grammy Award winning composer, the great jazz player Wayne Cobham, for writing our super duper theme hero song thing. Thank you, Wayne. And also, of course, as always, a thank you to Corey Bone, the owner of Crown and Anchor Jewelry, who provides me with the jewelry that I wear on the show in exchange for this promotional message. You can find Corey Bone and Crown and Anchor on Etsy, and as well as on Twitter. So have a look. So when we come back, comedian, actor, and well, my favorite meter man. He calls himself Meter Boy, but I think he's a meter man. So that, of course, is Brad Slaight. So let's take a look at this.
Every child deserves to feel safe. Love Cures, a benefit of healing for the abused child's soul, at Symphony Space in Manhattan, June 26th. Starring Broadway World Award winner Julie Budd. Featuring Broadway performers and special guests, including the Young People's Chorus of New York City. Director, Tony Award winner Wayne Salento. Proceeds to the New York Center for Children. Learn about Love Cures or buy tickets, symphonyspace.org. Because every child deserves to be safe.
And now, with us today, we have actor, comedian, writer, a good friend of the Bonnie Sher Show. Here with us once again is Brad Slaight. Hello, Brad. I ordered it just for...
Did you? And I'm really sorry I kind of walked in late, but I had an incident at the front desk. You know, I came into the studio and I asked them a simple question, and they body slammed me. They body slammed me, Bonnie. My God.
You just can't trust anybody.
You know, yeah, and they broke my glasses, and I'm going to call the cops. So there you go. A lot of that going around is what I'm saying.
What's going on? I mean, people have gone cray-cray.
They've gone cray-cray to the max. It's kind of mixing that Valley Girl with the modern rap stuff.
Wait, let me get some fuel.
Okay. A Valley rap guy. My name is Vanilla Fudge. Anyway, so, no, it's good. It's good to be in Hollywood. You know, it's beautiful here. You look down this Gower Street, you look up, and there's the Hollywood sign staring right back at you going, good luck.
Yeah. Nice to see you.
That's right. That's what they should have instead of Hollywood sign. You should just say, good luck. Ha ha. LOL. But it's good luck LOL would be the Hollywood sign if I designed it.
Well, I kind of like your ideas in design. I would certainly.
Would you do that?
I would give it a shout out.
I'd written a movie called The Bitter Truth about frustrated actors in Hollywood. Where did I get the
Gee, I don't know.
the inspiration for that? And the thing was, is the guy comes out to find out, his brother had died. He's from the Midwest. His brother was like a wannabe actor, and he hung himself from the letter O of the Hollywood sign because the letter H was already taken. That's the kind of town we live in. And by God, I love it here.
How long have you been here?
About 5 minutes.
No.
Oh, in the wonderful city of Hollywood, Los Angeles, Santa Monica. It's one big city with many different. I've lived out here for 30 years.
Wow.
30
so
years.
You've seen the changes.
Yeah, I came out when I was 3, and it was a little hard getting
You're
a bus
so
pass.
Cute. I can almost buy that.
Yeah.
And little cheek things happen.
I used to play a former child star on a show, and it was always when I would do stand up. The character I played was called Bunny Boy from the like one of those old sitcoms like Lassie. And so and it was fictitious, but the MC used to bring me up on stage, and he goes, "You may remember Brad from that TV show Bunny Boy. He played Bunny Boy," and people in the audience would go, "Oh yeah, I remember that." I should run for president because I can make anybody believe anything. But we won't talk about
you
that.
can put enough for now. We can talk about whatever
you talk
you
about.
want
Everybody
to.
talks about politics. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about me. Let's talk about
Well,
us. That's a song. Isn't
And
it?
how about? I mean, a lot of the audience probably already realizes that this is not only our very own Brad Slaight,
Yes.
the actor and comic,
Yes.
but this is also Slaight Brad. And when he reverses his name, it's because we're talking about type 1 diabetes.
Yeah, I appeal to people with diabetes and dyslexics everywhere. I wanna broaden my audience.
But I don't know. I mean, there are. I think I have a sense of humor.
Oh, yeah, great sense of humor.
And I think it's kind of marvelous. You don't have to have diabetes to be funny, but I'm thinking maybe it helps.
It's hilarious, though.
It
most
is,
of the
you
time.
know?
Yeah. Actually, I've known several people with. That was the whole impetus of Captain Glucose and Meter Boy, the animation project I started with Type 2, who was a sitcom star, Bill Kirchenbauer, and. And the more, it's funny because there are a lot of people in the entertainment business that I guess before they kept it quiet, but now diabetes is, Mary Tyler
When I
Moore.
was a young actress, and I was
A couple years ago.
And I remember I was hot after getting some commercial work. And they had a call for somebody who looked like me, sounded like me. It was for Hershey's chocolate. They found out I was a diabetic. I was out of a job.
Oh, really? Wow. Nowadays it's never. I mean,
I was okay for Coca-Cola.
Yeah,
but
you're
not
fine for that. It took the Pepsi challenge. Yeah, it's that whole thing about in terms of who to get. It's like, what's the 5-stage rule? Get me what is it? Get me Brad Slaight, get me a young Brad Slaight, get me a Brad Slaight lookalike, get me, and who's Brad Slaight? Or it starts out with who's Brad Slaight and goes to the end. I've gone through every level. It's like the 7 stages of grief. You go through them all daily. I go through who's Brad Slaight to get me Brad Slaight, all in one.
Well, if they were clever, they would look up Slaight Brad.
That's right. Well, he's, we don't talk about him too much. We try not to.
I will. So what? I know what I wanted to ask you.
Yes.
Yes.
Don't make me body slam you.
Twice in one day.
Yeah, that's right.
When I read you on Facebook, and every day there is something that makes me chortle, makes me laugh, makes me smile. Do you wake up like that every day?
I wake up like that every day, but I never chortle. I guffaw a couple of times, maybe a belly
I
laugh
did the
and a
guffaw
snicker.
thing was too guttural.
Too
for
guttural.
me, yeah.
Well, I have a German background. I'm part German and part Danish. I like to invade other countries and conquer their pastries. But see, I work in all
another
these
carb
lame
joke.
jokes. Yeah. But yeah, no, in the creative people like you and myself, our minds are always working because they have to be. You know, it's you do improvisation, which is kind of where I started when I came out here. You learn to think very quick and try to think in terms of entertainment as opposed to just, you know, that was the thing I had the hardest time with out here, and that's what improv helped. As an actor, I studied acting in college, and it was all stage acting. So the first audition I went to, you know, I think a line was like, hand me a glass of water. And I was just like, hand me a glass of water. And I was like, Brad, what the hell was that? Are you from England? I said, no, that was my acting. And so all acting is to be believable. So if you want a glass of water, you say, hey, would you hand me that glass of water? That is hard for some people to get if they've had a lot of theatrical training. It's important to get the training because it teaches you how to get into the character, how to look for your motivation, you know, the spine of the character, the intention of the scene.
And people think there's nothing to this acting business.
There's nothing to this acting. I know. Well, nowadays, most of TV is reality shows and these commercials. We were talking about that. Now it's like, you know, these are real people. Yeah, well, no. Shitona. You know what I mean? Of course they're real people. They can't act. Get some real actors that can act like real people. How about that? Yeah, I lost weight. Good for you. Why don't you lose that whatever voice you're using? But I never worry about it. I have no rants. I'm very happy.
I love that you're so happy. So what else? Here's another question. This one's a little more personal.
You want to ask me about the CBO? Oh, go ahead.
Later.
Okay.
Here's another question. As a performer and an entertainer, do you find that social relationships are, you know what I'm talking about?
Sex? Oh.
Well, yeah, but before you even get to the sex part,
yeah, that's right. You got to go through that first, which I just hate. And what was the question? I kind of cut in.
Do you think that because we're in the business that we're in, that relationships are more difficult for us?
It depends.
Or is it just me?
It depends. If you have, you know, I find a lot of my friends are performers because I'd rather be around a lot of crazier people because some of us are kind of crazy. Because we're a little more interesting to be around. Not always. You know, if you're in a green room with 10 other stand-ups, that gets a little wild. But I found that I remember because I was at my doctor's office one time, and he said, "Well, you know how they like to play God sometimes. Some of them. I have the greatest doctor in the world. Yeah,
please."
And you know, he said, "Well, part of me being a doctor is I have to be concerned with not only your physical health, but your mental health." Oh, what the hell? Where are we going with this, Skippy? And he said, "And I noticed that you live alone. Does that bother you? Do you feel good with that?" And I know where he's going. It's like, what? So I said, well, let me ask you this. You're married. You have a family. What do you do on Saturday night? Well, my wife and I sometimes go out on Saturday night. And I just said, I am Saturday night. Okay?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, we're just stealing from Billy Crystal. But it's a matter of socially, you know, I think we develop skills that help us in our social lives.
Well,
because
apparently I haven't developed.
Oh, yeah.
I'm working on
We're
that.
presentational as opposed to confrontational.
Oh, I like
I
that.
know
You
what
can
that
write for
means.
me. I don't either, but it sounded great.
good.
So hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, I want to know more about your muse.
Well, she's out in the car.
Go ahead, take it away.
Since when did experience become something to hide? I say we own it. Lose all that negativity. Just let it go. It's just bad energy. Oh, and lose those terrible black balloons they give you on your 50th. What's up with that?
Hey, we hear you. That's why our members love AARP the magazine. It celebrates you with fun and provocative content, from lifestyle and entertainment to in-depth reporting. And it's just one of the great benefits of membership.
If you don't think this is right for me when you think AARP, then you don't know ARP. Get to know us at aarp.org/possibilities.
To be at peace with myself is the most prominent thing, and I am at peace with myself. I didn't deal this deck, I'm just playing the game. That's all. That's it. Meals on Wheels has given me a mode of freedom that I wouldn't have otherwise. Been making sure they get the nutrition that I need, and it's a balanced meal. My name is Maurice McGriff. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Well, welcome back. This is the Bonnie and Sher Show, and I have with me, and I've been having the true pleasure of choking. I'm looking here at this camera. I was choking so I wouldn't spit full face. I get the pee. I'm telling you, do you think this is an easy way to make a living? I'm going back to being a cosmetics girl at Saks. No, I'm not. I'll be at Bloomingdale's.
Oh, my.
I like Bloomingdale's. Okay, so now, listen, Brad's here. If you
I'm just wiping
How about those Mets?
I have to wipe the spit off. Go ahead.
I get to pay. I could make a living from that. A small living. I got to pay, but Jewish people happen to have a lot of phlegm. You hear it in our language, a brach. So I'm just getting rid of that phlegm now, just for the day. Don't worry, I'll come back with it next week. Let's go back to Brad now. Hi, Brad.
Hi, how are you?
Well, I've got this
Phlegm.
I have a cough. Yeah, the cutest thing is Julie Budd. Julie never gets a cold. She doesn't get the flu. Miss Budd gets an organism. So.
Oh, well, it's a little higher than the other thing, right?
Yeah, well, I hope so.
Okay, my eyes are up here.
Okie dokie. Now, what I want to ask you is people who want to know what's happening in your life other than me, because I have your phone number and I can call and ask. How do people follow you?
Well, right now I'm working on a couple of projects, and one that I have the most fun with is called Elf and Filipino. And it's a web series that does pretty well on Funny or Die. You can see it over there. Just type in Elf and Filipino, or you can go to elfandfilipino.com. And it is basically about an elf and a Filipino. Guess which one I play?
The Filipino.
Almost. I wanted that part, but they cast me as the elf. And it's a lot of fun because just the title alone, people go, what? And, you got to grab people's attention.
So what you're saying is elf and Filipino,
not
as
elfin.
opposed to an elf and Filipino.
Like elfin generosity and those cookies
something like that, yeah.
Jeff Sessions makes in the tree.
He reminds me of Jeff Sessions, and every time I look at him, I can't help but see it. There was a character on Will and Grace
I know
who played Karen's nemesis. Every time I see Sessions, I want him to go back to his old line of work.
I know what you. I know.
What's the character? The actress name is Leslie Beverly.
Something
Beverly
like
Leslie.
I remember. Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, that was the guy.
So, it's a web series about the antics of the oddest couple ever. I mean, we're roommates. Every episode there's a new adventure that we do, and we recently ran a commercial in the California area, Time Warner. And do you have that by any chance?
Well, you know what?
You recorded it, right? You're going to show our commercial. This is a surprise. This is Garador. He's an elf. This is Buzz Belmondo. He's from the Philippines. Together, they are Elf and Filipino, the new web series featuring the oddest friends ever.
We'll fight for you! And you know what's even more fun? Is we'll fight with you. George Raffi. Who? George Raffi. It's geography.
Join in the hilarious misadventures of Elf and Filipino.
I'm looking forward to this show. Maybe we should have put our phone numbers in the commercial.
I love that. I want to be an elf and Filipino too. Or would that be a Filipina? Anyway.
El Filipino and Bonnie.
And the Bon.
You could do your own series called Bonnie and the Phlegm. Have a little green guy with eyes. The Adventures of Bonnie.
The Adventures of Bonnie's Phlegm.
Where are we going today, Bonnie? Through your nose again?
I can just sit here and listen to you laugh.
It's dark in this throat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what she
There's
said.
Deep throat and there's dark throat.
Honey, I picked up a porno at the DVD
who's
store.
paying who today?
Honey, I picked this up. I think the guy, I thought it was Deep Throat, but it was on sale. It's got a picture of Bonnie on it. I didn't know she was in it. Something about her phlegm. I want to see that. What part is that again, honey?
Well, guys, now you know why I love having Brad Slaight here with me, because he makes me laugh, and I like to laugh. And, I don't think I've met a diabetic I don't like. But wait.
The Will Rogers of television shows, Bonnie.
Would you say goodbye to everybody while I'm coughing?
This is what's great. I knew that's why I said, let me come on when she's sick. I get more airtime. She's over in the corner phlegming, and I get to talk more. It's all about...
Thank you for being here with me, Brad. It was a real pleasure. Let's roll this
We
song,
cleared the air
please.
and your throat. What?
Don't push it, don't force it, let it happen naturally.
Type 1 diabetes can be living in anyone.
Type 1 diabetes is when your pancreas doesn't produce insulin. It's not caused by your diet, it's not caused by anything you did.
Type 1 diabetes can be very serious.
Blindness, amputation.
Learn more about type 1 diabetes.
Help support JDRF finding a cure.
T1D looks like my brother.
T1D looks like a friend.
Type 1 diabetes looks like me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Julie Budd.
It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Do-at, 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 do-at. It don't mean a thing, all you gotta do is sing. Do-at, 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 do-at. Makes no difference if it's sweet or hot. Just give that rhythm everything you've got. Oh, it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Do-at, 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 do-at. Do-at, 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 do-at.
Hello?
Makes no difference if it's sweet or hot. Just give that rhythm everything you've got. Oh, don't mean a thing if it ain't got that sweet. Do-at, 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 do-at. Do-at, 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 do-at. Baby, sweet. Do-at, 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 do-at.
Isn't she something? Ladies and gentlemen, that was Julie Budd, of course, singing It Don't Mean a Thing. Stay back. Well, welcome back to the Bonnie Sher Show. And my co-host for this segment is Chelcie Rice. Woo, woo, woo. Get that, Chelcie? I'm sending you Bonnie love. Not Bonnie spit right now, just Bonnie love. The phlegm has left the room. For all of you who don't know Chelcie, I do. And as a matter of fact, so does Brad Slaight. We are a funny community of type 1s, aren't we? It's a pretty funny deal.
Yeah,
anyway,
you gotta be.
Thank you. It's so true. Chelcie is a member of the T1 diabetes community from the great state of Alabama. You're giggling. It's not such a great state.
Well, considering I'm in Georgia.
Oh, well, next time we do the show, you'll have moved. I knew that. I happen to, thank you. Bye, Brad. I happen to really know that Atlanta is in Georgia.
Yeah, there is an actual Atlanta somewhere. There's other cities in the United States called Atlanta, I think.
Yeah, but I don't think there are too many more Tel Avivs, do you?
Not that I know of. No,
Tell
I
us,
didn't do
you man.
I didn't do a lot of geometry.
I tried to give somebody a date to come on the show, gave him the wrong date, and I suggested that perhaps he never use me for an accountant. I just just couldn't get there. Chelcie, please tell us what's going on with your sugar-free comedy show. Aside from, what was it like to be selected as one of Forecast Magazine's 14 amazing people to know?
That was a major honor for me. I mean, I never win anything. I don't win like drawings or anything of that nature. So when that came about, I was flattered and, pretty much floored, because then, like I said, that's the most recognition I've ever received, nationally. I don't have a crime record or anything, so there's no way anybody else would have known me across
No,
the country.
that's the Chelcie Rice who spells his name differently.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that was an honor. I mean, I was kind of blown away, and I'm still honored by it, really, because I've gotten to know a lot of people in the community because of that recognition. So yeah, it was quite an accolade for me, believe me.
Can you tell us a little bit about the comedy that you do in your show? I mean, does it all relate to diabetes, or do you have different shows for different venues, different people? How do you work that?
I just kind of I put a little bit of the diabetes in most of my shows, because it's a part of me, and so you joke about what you know. And so obviously I've been knowing this good friend of mine, diabetes, for over 25 years now. So I kind of put a little bit of it in each act, but I don't overwhelm them with it, because you don't
want to make them cry.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, you don't want people like zone out. Okay, yeah, we get it. You're diabetic. We remember. So, I don't bombard it and beat it over the head with it. But I add some in it at all in each set. I don't do jokes, the crude jokes about like the complications or anything, because I don't want to, like I said, offend anybody. Because a lot of people are pretty sensitive about it. So I take that into consideration, and I respect it. But I just make jokes about the things that I experienced in diabetes. The crazy doctor's appointments, the politics, and this, that, and the other. So,
and the crazy doctors.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's talk a little more toward the diabetes technology side. Are you a pumper? Do you CGM? I don't dance. Don't ask me. What do you do to keep your T1 in order?
Yeah, I'm on the pump. I've been on the pump now since 2005. I've been on a CGM for the past maybe 3 or 4 months, maybe. Well, maybe a little longer, maybe 6 months. And it's been great. I mean, it's kept me honest. I enjoy the CGM. I mean, I like being able to wear my CGM out where people can see it, because it's my personality. I don't care. I got this big thing sticking on the back of my arm, and it's like people are looking at me like, what is that? It's like, oh, let me tell you what it is. So it's like, I just wear it like a tattoo. I don't have any ink, but I do have a CGM splattered right across my arm with this big blue sticker to hold it on. So it's like, I'm proud of it, honestly.
I can understand that. I can understand that. Well, I'm actually in my 50th year right now, and we had none of this. And it makes me wonder what the difference in the long term this would have afforded me if we had all of this back then.
Yeah, I can't imagine how big it would be back then, because I remember seeing pictures of the very first insulin pumps. It was like a backpack. So I can imagine
It's like the first cell phones. You had to have a little briefcase for them.
Yep, you got a little pallet jacket to roll around with and stuff. Yeah, I can imagine the CGM would probably be like the very first Mac computers you'd be carrying on your hip or something, or keep a little hand truck with you to carry it around with you.
Just because we didn't have them doesn't mean they weren't being worked on. I know.
Right.
I knew a physician from the East Coast, and he came to California and was hired by USC Medical Center. And what he was working on, and let's see, I was 17. This is like 1969, 1970. His name was Dr. Samuel Bessman. And he was working on trying to find a suitable encasement for pancreatic cells. This now, all these years later, we're hearing about a biohub coming out of the DRI in South Florida. So that's something that, yes, they thought about and it was present, but how many years it took to roll that out. And again, I liken it to the cell phone. I don't even use it to make calls. It's so busy doing other stuff. But to see what the next step is going to be, maybe the Medtronic 670, I kind of like that. I think especially people who are type 1 and live on their own, I think the most frightening thing is, that devilish late night low, and it's all you can do to make it to the refrigerator. But that something like the 670, which would also know when to give you glucagon and shut off the insulin. Now, that to me is something that I would like to see. And they apparently are going to have them available at the end of spring, is what I have been hearing.
Right.
But
that's what I really want to go to some more of these conferences. These are the things I want to learn about. Definitely the technologies, because I'm a bit of a technology geek. I like just gadgets. Growing up as a drummer, I just like gadgets.
Well, hell, you can do four things at once. I love drummers.
Exactly. Total coordination. And so, and even like this new band that's supposed to be that Apple is working on to allow the Apple Watch to basically check your blood sugar through your watch. I'm really looking forward to that and hoping that actually comes about as well.
And let's see, Brad asked me to say something to you about carbs. Did I? What's your deal with carbs?
Carbs are a little evil, but they're very tasty.
Aren't they though? I am. I'm a
tasty,
carbaholic. What do you do? And of course, we all know why God gave us popcorn. That's just so we could have something else to put butter on.
Oh, don't start. Because now you're gonna make, because I haven't gotten home from work yet. So when I get home now, I'm gonna have popcorn and a bolus.
Isn't that something? May I ask what you do for a living? I mean, I know that you're a comic, but you said you're coming home from work, and I don't think they have day clubs there, do they?
No, they don't have any. We don't really have a lot of comedy clubs in Atlanta, period. We really only have good 2 or 3 A rooms. One's like an alternative comedy. It's a smaller venue. Well, both of them are actually small now because the Punchline actually got smaller. And the Laughing Skull was downtown. But I work out outside the Atlanta area in the city of Woodstock, which is like maybe half an hour out of the city, for a Medicare supplemental insurance marketing company. I think
you called me this morning.
Yeah, probably so.
Somebody did.
Yeah.
Hey, you're getting old. You want to talk to me? Not so much.
Yeah, I know. But the company is growing. Yesterday, we got told that our company was being, it's not so much acquired, but we're kind of merging with another company that's actually partially owned by former quarterback Steve Young. So, so everybody's throwing around the old autographed footballs and a raffle that I didn't win, of course. Of course, I would have put it on eBay anyway if I hadn't won it. So what the heck?
Yeah,
because I'm not that big of a 49ers fan, but I respect the game.
That's kind of well, isn't it? I mean, at least to me, it's entertainment. And you have I root because anybody who's willing to be out there having his brains bashed in and isn't talking to a potential senator, got to give those guys credit.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely entertainment here in Atlanta because we're still reeling from our Super Bowl loss. That was entertaining. I mean, it's nice to know that, Tom Brady got to set a record on us. That always looks good, showing the Atlanta Falcons on the replay, film, hey, look what happened to the, New England Patriots when they played the Atlanta Falcons. They were fan. Yeah, okay, we get it.
Well, some of us do. Some of us do. So what, before we wrap, I want to ask you this. What T1D issue would you like to bring to the community today?
One of the things that I want to work on that I've kind of still in the works of trying to work on is I want to empower people with diabetes a lot more because we're in a situation now where tons of people, millions of people on the verge of losing their insurance to take care of themselves. And that includes a very large number of people with diabetes who have to have access to insulin, have to have access to strips, who have to have access to, appointments and, other doctor's appointments. And I don't have anything against people marching and demonstrating for better health care, but there needs to be some more empowerment towards people with diabetes to be diligent, to not just wait for someone to show you an avenue that you can take. I mean, being diligent in utilizing social media, anything on the internet, asking questions, is going to these conferences if possible, if it's feasible, you can afford it, go to these things, learn more, just empower yourselves and not be victimized by the system. That's basically where we're at right now. And it doesn't necessarily mean just diabetes, but people with pre-existing conditions in general, we're getting painted into a corner here and we don't have to stand for it. And that's what I want to try and get more people with diabetes, whether it's type 2 or type 1, to understand that you don't have to let this situation paint you into a corner. You can fight, you can stand up, and you can resist, if I may borrow the word, to be just diligent and defend yourself against this onslaught that we're having to deal with right now. People are afraid. I may have insurance right now, but I don't know if that might change, or if I may lose my job, if I may become disabled, things of that nature. Those things that we live with and we walk around with in our minds. And so I want to empower people. That's why I wanted to come up with Sugar Free Comedy, to get the word out by using comedy to deliver the word, the message that you don't have to take it anymore.
I think that's fabulous. I really do. And we wish you all of the best. So you'll stay in touch with us. I'm going to cough again. Just talk amongst yourselves.
Brad, what's happening, man? Thank you very much.
Brad's a goner. He's not a goner, but he's left the building. So it's just me and Jarvis.
Send him my best.
I will do, and you take great care. And thank you so much for taking some time to talk to us today.
Well, thank you for having me, Bonnie. I appreciate it.
Anytime. In the meantime, if any of our fellow type 1 diabetics would like to occupy the space of my type 1 co-host, it's very simple. Write me. That's all you have to do. Just let me know, and you can get to me at bonnie@bonniesher.com. Next up, it will be Boomer News and my views from my soapbox. back in 60.
I live in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm a social worker. When I found out that I had hepatitis C, I was a single mother, and I was absolutely terrified.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, estimates there are close to 3 million baby boomers infected with hepatitis C. Because there can be no symptoms for decades, most don't even know it. But if detected in time, Hep C can be cured, and the treatment is simple.
Today I feel great. I'm a healthy 65-year-old. I bike to work, I go to the gym, and I've cleared the virus.
The CDC is urging everybody born between 1945 and 1965 to get tested. It's an easy one-time blood test that may be covered by insurance.
I got a disease that could have killed me, but I saved my own life by getting tested.
Don't wait. Ask your doctor about getting tested for Hep C, because knowing is everything.
And today's Boomer News comes to us from the Wall Street Journal, and it's entitled The Economic Impact When Baby Boomers Retire.
The decision to retire is one of the most important personal financial decisions anyone can make. Well, it turns out that it also has a profound macroeconomic impact that we are only now beginning to appreciate. Economists have known for a long time that as the U.S. population ages, it'll tend to slow down economic growth just because we'll have a smaller workforce as a result. But there's new evidence that suggests there's another impact on the economy that's potentially even more important. Because older workers tend to be the most knowledgeable and the most experienced, when they retire, that hurts the productivity of everybody left behind. And that drags on the economy through productivity growth. These findings come from a new economic research paper that just came out in the last week. The economists looked at all 50 states, they looked at the ones that aged faster, and they found that in those states, economic growth slowed more. About a third of the slowdown was because their workforce wasn't growing as quickly, but the rest of it was because the remaining workers just weren't as productive. You know, this kind of makes sense. Older workers aren't just the ones who are most experienced and capable, they also tend to make the people around them more capable and more confident and knowledgeable about how to do their jobs. If you look around the country right now, there are employers from coast to coast grappling with the fact that some of their most experienced employees are now coming up on retirement, and they're very worried about how to replace them. There's a lot of sort of tribal knowledge that you acquire on the job that you cannot simply teach in college. The country as a whole needs to come to grips with this, because if it doesn't, it's facing a double whammy from the aging of the population. This, I think, adds an extra impetus to a lot of the discussion now that we should do more to extend retirement ages, both in private pensions and in Social Security.
Welcome back. And now my views from the soapbox. That entails what I think should be applauded, and then my shout down, which is who I think should really be ashamed. So let's get started with a shout out to the great state of Nevada and their Senate for passing in a bipartisan fashion a proposal aiming to force pharmaceutical companies to disclose how they set their insulin prices. Pardon me. And that was reported by the AP. My shout down is to the haters. Just in this past week alone, we've seen a soft target bombing in England, and recently, I think it happened on last Saturday night, a young man named Richard Collins III was visiting some friends at University of Maryland, and this is a young man who was just about to graduate college, I think 3 or 4 days later. He was also acting as, he was recently commissioned as a U.S. Army second lieutenant. Well, he was killed on campus. And apparently the suspect is a member of the alt-right Facebook group, and that is reported by CNN. He was walking. And then, even here in Los Angeles this week, A 72-year-old rabbi was walking in his neighborhood in the Fairfax district. This was caught on tape. And what the thing was this other guy just beat the crap out of him for the sake of beating the crap out of him. What the hell? Stop, please stop. It's so bad for all of us. But before we say goodbye, I really want to thank our guests today, the wonderful Brett Slaight and my new friend Chelcie Rice. And that's our show for today, and I hope you'll return next week for another 50-minute trip through the land of entertainment. They're very entertaining here. Through the world of boomer life and, of course, the life of type 1 diabetics. Until then, please visit BonnieSher.com. Follow the #1 Bonnie Sher on Twitter. And like the Bonnie Sings Lena Facebook fan page. Many of you are already aware of the close relationship that I had with Sammy Davis Jr. He was my friend, he was my mentor, and he tried to teach me to never be stupid again. So I end every show with sort of a Carol Burnett-esque wink and a nod to you, Mr. D. So until we see you next week, take good care.